Well, hello, everybody. Great to be with you today. Welcome to Guitar Talk. I'm Mike Higgins, and I'll be your host. We like to talk about guitars, different styles of music, and the equipment that's used to produce this music. And we hope you come away learning a little something. And if you've got a great instrument you'd like to share with our viewers, reach out to me. Maybe we can talk about getting you on the show sometime and talk about the history of your instrument. But today I'm real excited about the guest we have with us. He came up out of the Boston club scene back in the 70s, and he's been a fixture on the Rhode Island scene in some of the best bands that have been out there for many, many years. I first met him in the 80s. We played for a group called Ken Lyons and Tombstone Blues, which is just a fantastic band. And he's been with the Young Adults. And he has held the guitar spot with Steve Smith and the Nakeds now for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Valley. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Thanks for coming aboard, man.
Well, my pleasure.
How long you been with Steve Smith and the Nakeds now?
It's going on 25 years.
Did you go to the Nakeds right from Tombstone?
No, I didn't. That was probably, I want to say, around 1990. I hooked up with another person. We were, doing some writing together.
Oh, okay.
And I lived. I moved to New York. I was in the city for about 2.5, 3 years.
Yep.
And we played a little bit while we were there in some of the local places. We didn't
Sure.
make a lot of money. We were maybe once or twice a month we were going out and playing.
Getting some work, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I had a day gig while I was there. It was,
Yeah. How many members are in Steve Smith and the Nakeds now?
Well, we have in the band we have 10. We have a lighting guy that comes out and works with us, and we have a sound man.
Yep. So it's a full production act.
We bring out the A show.
Yeah.
Every time we play, we have lighting. We have a 14-foot box truck, and we can handle just about any situation.
So you're equipped to do casino gigs and the bigger venues and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we
Wonderful. Wonderful. Tell us a little bit when you got started on the guitar, what some of those early influences were.
Well, some of those early influences, I don't know if they were good or bad. I mean, my parents used to think a few of my influences were bad, but
I think we all can go down that road, yeah.
But early on, I just was self-taught of, most of the stuff that I learned up to a certain point, and you get it from your family. My dad played like 3 or 4 chords, so that's basically my first chords on the guitar were that, and then he used to take me out to the music stores, and I'd get books and like song books pretty much.
Sure.
I was really into Bob Dylan. I used to love to read through his song books, and I couldn't read music at that time. I could at least I could read the arrangement, and I could count, and the words were sort of the goalposts or the signposts along the way. This is how I navigated through
And this
the
is
music.
where the chord change takes place, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I did the same thing.
Yeah. And that's really the best way to start music, especially with a stringed instrument, is with your ears. And learning in that way is a very natural progression. Just like with toddlers, when you're reading to them, they're really listening to the sound. They're using their ears, and this is how we acquired language. It's the same with music. If you start with your ears, all the other stuff, like speech, which would be playing, also reading and writing would be, it's analogous to the same things we learn as we're, coming into life.
What were some of your earliest instruments?
Well, my father was a scout leader. We had a bugle and drum corps, one of the troops that we had, and I was in a little bit ahead of time, but I played snare and tenor drum first off. Then I switched over to a brass instrument. I played bugle. And when I got into grade school, I got into, what was it? I played a cornet for a while, but yeah. But I got kicked out of the band, so it's a whole story there. But but yeah, so
That's interesting that a drum and bugle corps kind of thing
yeah,
is part of it. It is for me too, oddly enough.
Really?
I played drum in the American Legion Drum and Bugle Corps.
excellent.
Yeah. I think I was playing guitar at the same time. I might have known half a dozen chords, maybe less than that, but it all kind of fused together around the same time in life.
Well, it's interesting that you start with percussion because in Latin music, you always, no matter what instrument you play, you always start with percussion, and you learn all the different kinds of beats and rhythms.
I wanted to be a drummer, and it wasn't allowed in my household. There was no way my mother was buying me a drum set, not even a snare. But I did convince her that a guitar would be acceptable and wouldn't disrupt the entire family. So that's how that came to be. It turned out I loved the guitar dearly. So, and I think the first one was a harmony acoustic with two or three strings on it.
Right. Yeah.
Then I got a Fender Mustang. That was an enormous.
Oh, you went right to the American guitar.
That was quite a guitar to have in my possession.
I had a Zimgar. That
I
was
remember
my first electric
those.
band.
The Zimgar. You kids out there, you don't know how easy you got it today. We are in another golden age of guitar making, because today, for $100, you can buy a Squier Strat that actually plays and sounds halfway decent with a little bit of setup work. There's a wide variety of acoustics and electrics beginners can get today for short money that are way better than what we were forced to learn on.
Absolutely.
But I think you alluded just to learning by ear earlier. If you have to learn by ear with a guitar that's difficult to play, number one, that takes a person who really wants to do this. You got to really want to play to be on a piece of junk guitar that's cutting your fingers open, and you're just forced to listen by ear. That sound will get in beyond your ear and into your spirit, and it'll make you a better musician.
Well, yeah, going from the acoustic guitar, which of course has a little bit higher action,
right,
to an electric was like a quantum leap for me.
Yep.
And whenever you can play something, or you learn to play something, and you put it all together, that's very rewarding, and that kind of fuels your determination to keep going.
Absolutely.
And even now, how old are we now? I mean, I was born in 1951, so I've been playing for over 50 years now.
Yeah, I was born in '57.
Yeah.
So you're a little ahead of me there.
Same as my wife.
Yeah. Let's fast forward a little bit. You were in a band in Providence that really created quite a stir with the young adults. That was a zany band that still played great music. Tell us a little bit about how that band came to be.
Well, I can imagine what it would be like, if that band were, starting out now. It's plenty of fuel for the fire,
Yes.
And that's basically what we did. It was there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. It was very theatrical. We had stage props. We had somebody on the stage, Rudy Cheeks, acting out, a lot of the roles that we were singing about. We dealt with subjects like, in a light manner.
Yes.
We dealt with subjects like U.S. history. We dealt with suicide. We dealt with, all these very controversial things, but somehow you can inject humor into anything. And if you can do that in a manner that is like using bad taste, I'm making a difference between bad taste and poor taste.
Right.
There's a difference.
There's a big difference.
Bad taste can be, sort of
It's like
borderline.
the difference between an alcoholic and a drunk,
Right.
Yeah. Now you guys, even though you had that subject matter and costumes and all kinds of zany stuff, the music was still decent. You still had great musicianship. And
that was the thing.
I think you guys kind of predated the Tubes who went on to big
Oh, yeah.
fame, and they kind of did a similar thing. You know, they had a not two different stage presentation, but there was good musicianships, and I always felt like for you guys, the ship should have followed right alongside.
Well, we
of them.
didn't break through. That was the thing. We did have a cult following, and we were very successful within our region,
Yeah.
our sphere of influence.
Very successful.
And there are some recordings out there.
Who were the members in the band?
Well, when it first started out, I was playing with Jeff Shore. We had a band when Kenny's band split up. You know, Kenny Lyons.
Yeah.
They went on. Well, they didn't split up. They went on tour, and they left the club that they were playing in like for 4 years. They were doing like 3 nights a week there, and the place was packed like every night. So we put the band together and modeled it after Kenny's band. We did a different book, but you know we were doing the same kind of stuff, and we were very successful at it until Dave sold the club, and then we didn't have any more gigs. So Jeff said, "Hey, why don't you come up to Providence with me? You know, we're trying out guitar players for this new band." And it was the beginning of the young adults.
Okay.
So they had been trying out different people. They actually had David Byrne come in and play.
From the Talking Heads?
Yeah, because he was at RISD at the time.
That's right.
And he went on to start Talking Heads while he was still there, and you know they were very new. They were very new to music, you know, and we did gigs with them. We did a few. I think we did one at Lupo's. We did one at RISD.
Yeah.
But they wanted somebody that was more musically versatile, able to cover a lot of different kinds of stuff. I mean, I was pretty young then, but you know, I was still doing pretty good at the time.
Yeah, and
you
you'd
know?
already done a lot of gigs and been in different sorts of musical situations.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
you'd paid your dues.
I cut my teeth in the combat zone in Boston when I was like 18.
That's
you
the,
know.
you don't pay more dues than that. That's paying your dues.
Yeah, me and Greg Abadi were in a band then. We played
Yep.
for Albion the Spellbinders, and
I never knew you were with the Spellbinders.
Yeah.
Was Bruce Perry in the band when you were in
No,
it?
this was way before that.
Before Bruce?
Yeah, this was like after Phil. Phil Green played with them.
Yeah.
And after Phil left the band, I hooked up with them. And you know that was learning the ropes. I mean, I shared a dressing room with strippers, you know, and it was kind of cool, you know, because I was always trying to get over. But you know, strippers, you know, they think, oh, look at this little boy, oh, he's so cute,
cute
oh,
kid. Yeah,
hug him,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
oh man,
That's
if
funny.
you only knew, you know.
Now, did you have that vintage Stratocaster that's over there when you were in the young adults?
Yes, I've had that guitar since 1970. It's gone through some permutations. I got that guitar for like $50.
$50, folks,
Yep.
for a 1970 Stratocaster.
No, that's a 58.
That's a 58?
I bought it in 1970.
Wow.
So it's almost as old as we are. Oh, it's as old as you are, right?
I'm 60.
Yeah, okay, so it's almost there.
58,
right?
it's a year younger than me.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, gee whiz. That's fantastic that's still in service. And I got to play it a little earlier,
Yeah.
folks, and the neck on it is just dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not making them like that anymore.
It required a good deal of restoration at the
Yeah.
time. Some fool had covered the entire guitar in shellac
Oh.
for some unknown reason. And I spent the first couple of years like, you know, chipping off shellac with my thumb, you know. You know. And the neck had some deep grooves in it. And it looked like somebody had it that was a real player, and there was wear
Yeah.
on that guitar all over the neck. I mean, up and down the neck. We had to actually fill some of the grooves were so deep they had to be filled.
Yeah. These guitars belong in the hands of musicians, not in museums and glass cases. And unfortunately, as you know all too well, 50 Stratocasters in any condition are out of the reach of most musicians' budgets
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
and they have been for some time.
Yeah.
I remember when they got up to $5,000, I thought
Yeah.
people had lost their minds,
Yeah.
you know, and now, you know, you're talking $25,000.
I know, it makes you wonder,
It's
like,
insanity
you know,
what the prices are.
what
But I'm so glad you've still got that in service and
Yeah.
you get to play it all the time. you know?
I often think about the future of that guitar, you know. It's like, I always wonder, you know, like, where is it going to go, you know?
Right now, it's right where it needs to be with you. And
Yeah.
you take that to the gig most nights?
I'd take to every gig. I would
Beautiful.
never leave that anywhere, you know. It's like, you know, if you you know, try to take that guitar away from me, it would be like, you know,
Fight to the
my
death.
AR-15,
What is,
man, you know.
what's your amp rig on the gig nowadays?
I'm using well, I have two of them, and I swap them out with my tech guy, you know, because you have to constantly, you know, swap tubes and get the bias done on the tubes on these
Yeah.
amps. But it's a Fender Hot Rod DeVille,
Okay.
and you know, it's had some modifications, you know, slight stuff, you know, the filter caps are all upgraded, you know, so that
Sure.
they can handle anything really, and then
Yeah, they're a workhorse.
yeah.
No doubt about it. You see, that's the back line on a lot of stages. You know, and like guitars, amps now, especially the older ones, you know, I've talked about this on the show before, folks, that they require a little upkeep, but they're getting pretty pricey. For even the 70s era amps now are jumping way up.
Well, none of these newer amps are all hand wired the way the old ones were.
They're not made to be fixed.
Yeah.
They're disposable commodities, is where the tube amps of the old days, you know, they're still in service because you can fix them. They're hand wired.
Well, and the nice thing too is you can still find some what they call NOS components like capacitors.
Yeah.
Like there are still old capacitors out there, like paper foil and oil, that you can replace your tone capacitors with if you have a
And
good
they make a
tech.
difference.
Yeah.
They make a real difference in the sound.
Absolutely, but you know, everything's soldered to a circuit board now. So you
Yeah.
know, the through-hole technology that's used for that is, you know, oftentimes you'll have problems with, you know, if you have a tube socket or something screwed, soldered into a board. A lot of times,
Right.
you know, those things will fail. You know, it takes a while to find out, to, you know, diagnose those problems. You know, you have
Yep.
to have a good tech.
Yeah, you do. I use Butchie. He's probably the guy everybody uses. And well, let's do a little playing.
Sure.
All right, folks, we'll be right back. We're going to pick some guitar for you. Well, let's have a seat. We'll talk some more.
All right, brother.
Every day when I get up after coffee to become fully conscious, then I usually grab a guitar or look at a guitar or talk about a guitar or something guitar related. And it's nice that at our age that the passion remains. And I'm still as excited about getting a new piece of gear or learning a new chord or trick as I was
when you
when I
learn
was
something
15.
new, man, every day.
You know?
It's like, we're getting up there, man, and it's like I can tell you, every guitar player that I talk to that I know, you're always learning. I talked to a guy Saturday night, on a gig we were playing. He's a guy that comes to see us a lot. His name's Tony. He's 80 years old, and he plays, and he's loves jazz.
Yeah.
The guy can really comp. He always comes to see me when I play up at Foxwood, and we always sit and we talk about guitars and about music and everything. And he says the same thing. He's still learning. He's still going. He's not slowing down.
Passion's
at all.
there, and that's a wonderful thing with music. I know myself. I become more interested in different approaches to playing than when I was younger. When I was younger, I played fast a lot. I developed a right hand. I learned how to do that Al Di Meola 32nd note palm muting stuff. It seemed to be fun at the time, but now I find that less is more. Finding the sweet spots, the right tone, these are the things that make music. And I'm still searching all the time, all the time. And that's a great thing about playing the guitar. And like today, in today's world, everybody wants everything to be perfect quickly. And we know in, 60 plus years, you're never perfect on this instrument, and you got to keep practicing.
Yeah, one thing I can say about, perfection, right? It's something that it exists, and it's something that we strive for. And at times, we'll experience moments of perfection, but I can tell you, the longer that we play, the more often that we play, the more we gravitate towards other people that are players, musicians, that are into music, the more frequent those moments of perfections are. They happen all the time. And
you had a little piece of music before the cameras rolled you shared. Let's play that for the folks now. Thank you for being with us on Guitar Talk today, my friends. Ed and I are going to play a little bit more. Look for Steve Smith and the Nakeds. That's where you get to see this guy burning it up on stage. Thanks for being with us, and God bless you all. you.